Pay attention to Jill Meagher. It's 1:42 in the morning on September 22, 2012. She's walking home alone along Sydney Road in Brunswick, Melbourne. Jill has just finished drinks with co-workers. She's talking on the phone with her brother, discussing their father's health. Her apartment is less than a 10-minute walk away. She has no idea that the man in the blue hoodie approaching her is a serial rapist out on parole. She has no idea that she has less than 5 minutes to live. And she has no idea that her murder will ignite the largest public march in Melbourne's history and forever change Australia's parole laws. In just a few steps, everything is about to end. Jill Meagher was 29 years old. She was born in Drogheda, Ireland. Jill graduated from University College Dublin and began her career at RTE, Ireland's national broadcaster. In 2008, she married Tom Meagher. By 2009, the couple had moved to Melbourne, where Jill joined ABC Radio Melbourne. Her colleagues described her as witty, intelligent, and great company. In September of 2012, Jill had just returned from visiting her sick father in Perth. On Friday evening, September 21st, Jill went out with co-workers to celebrate the end of the work week. They started at Brunswick Green Bar, then moved on to bar etiquette. At around 1:30 a.m. on Saturday, September 22nd, Jill left on her own to walk home. The apartment she shared with Tom was close, less than a mile away. As she walked, Jill called her brother Michael to talk about their father's health. She was alert. She was in a neighborhood she knew well. She was doing everything right. And yet, it wouldn't be enough. At 1:42 a.m., a CCTV camera outside the Duchess Boutique captured footage that would later become crucial evidence. The video shows Jill walking along Sydney Road. A man wearing a blue hoodie approaches her. At one point, Jill lifts her phone toward him, clearly showing she's already on a call. It's a silent message. "Leave me alone." But the man doesn't leave. Instead, they move together away from Sydney Road and toward Hope Street, a narrow laneway just out of sight. What happened next was brutal. The man was Adrian Bayley, 41 years old. In that alley, he attacked Jill Meagher. When she fought back, he strangled her with his bare hands. He killed her to silence her. Then he dragged her body to his car and drove toward the rural outskirts of Melbourne. At around 4 a.m., Tom Meagher woke up. Jill wasn't home. He tried calling her phone. No answer. Growing worried, Tom went out searching the streets of Brunswick. By sunrise, he contacted police and reported Jill missing. Her disappearance triggered an unprecedented response. Jill's colleagues at ABC created a Facebook page, "Help us find Jill Meagher." Within 5 days, it had more than 100,000 followers. Posters went up everywhere. News coverage was constant. And for days, it felt as though the entire city was searching for Jill. But time was already running out. In the early hours of the investigation, police treated Tom Meagher as the primary suspect. It was standard procedure in a possible homicide. Detectives searched the couple's apartment and seized their car. But the suspicion didn't last long. Phone records told a different story. At 4:30 a.m., when Jill's phone was moving toward the outskirts of the city, Tom's phone was still on Sydney Road, where he was desperately searching for her. He was cleared. Investigators then turned their focus to the evidence. They analyzed CCTV footage and tracked Jill's mobile phone signal as it moved from Brunswick toward Gisborne South, nearly 50 kilometers north. They cross-referenced this data with toll road records. That's when they found a match. A car registered to Adrian Bayley had passed through a toll point on Moorland Road, following the exact same route as Jill's phone. On September 27th, police arrested Bayley at his home in Coburg. During questioning, he appeared confident, even smug. At one point, he remarked that women shouldn't walk around on their own. He denied everything until investigators began laying out the evidence. A photograph of his car at the toll point, the timeline matching Jill's phone movements, and finally, Jill Maher's SIM card found during a search of his home. Bayley's confidence collapsed. He confessed. Bayley then led police to a shallow grave on Black Hill Road in Gisborne South. The scene was so disturbing that 2 forensic officers who attended never returned to work. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered Bayley's past. Adrian Ernest Bayley was a serial rapist with more than 2 decades of offending. And at the time he murdered Jill, he was both on parole and out on bail. The system knew exactly how dangerous he was. And still, he was free. Bayley committed his first rape in 1991 at just 18 years old. He served 2 years of a 5-year sentence. Between 2000 and 2002, he systematically raped 5 women working as prostitutes in Elwood. His method was calculated. He would park his car tight against walls, trapping the women inside, before attacking them. In 2002, he was sentenced to 11 years for those 5 rapes. Bayley was released on parole in 2009 after completing a sex offender treatment program. But in early 2012, he violently assaulted a man in Geelong, knocking him unconscious, a clear breach of parole. The adult parole board should have sent him straight back to prison. Instead, he was released on bail pending an appeal, free to walk the streets. And on September 22, 2012, he killed Jill Maher. In April 2013, Bayley pleaded guilty to rape and murder. Judge Jeffrey Nettle sentenced him to life in prison for murder, 15 years for rape, and 3 years for the parole breach. A minimum non-parole period of 35 years. Judge Nettle described the attack as a strong man physically dominating a woman going about her peaceful business. He concluded that Bayley had little scope for rehabilitation. After the case became public, 3 more victims came forward. 2 sex workers and a Dutch backpacker, all raped by Bayley in attacks never previously linked to him. In 2015, Bayley was convicted of those additional rapes. His non-parole period was extended to 40 years. He will not be eligible for parole until 2055, when he will be 83 years old. Jill Maher's death changed Australia forever, but it never should have happened at all. In 2016, coroner Ian Gray reached a devastating conclusion. Jill Maher's death was preventable. He stated that Community Correctional Services and the Adult Parole Board had failed to take a risk-averse approach. If Adrian Bayley's parole had been revoked after the Geelong assault, he would have been in custody in September 2012. Jill Maher would still be alive. Public outrage was immediate and overwhelming. In response, the Victorian government introduced the toughest parole laws in Australia. Breaching parole became a criminal offence. Violent offenders would now be automatically returned to prison for serious breaches. The case also exposed serious flaws in Victoria's DNA database, flaws that were later overhauled because of Jill. On September 30, 2012, an estimated 30,000 people marched down Sydney Road. It was one of the largest public marches in Melbourne's history. People carried signs, they wore blue ribbons. They marched in grief and in solidarity, demanding action on violence against women. In the years that followed, Tom Maher became a powerful advocate. He partnered with the White Ribbon Campaign and wrote an essay titled, "The Danger of the Monster Myth." Tom argued that calling men like Bayley monsters lets society avoid responsibility. Bayley wasn't a monster. He was a man who made choices and who was enabled by systemic failures. Tom's voice forced uncomfortable conversations about masculinity, about accountability, and about how to prevent violence instead of reacting after it's too late. Memorials to Jill appeared across Melbourne. A 20-meter mural was painted in Hosier Lane. ABC Radio Melbourne created a rooftop garden at their South Bank studios in her honor. Jill Maher did everything society tells women to do to stay safe. She walked along a well-lit main road, in a neighborhood she knew. She was sober, alert, on the phone with her brother. She signaled that she wasn't interested in conversation. None of it mattered, because the problem was never Jill's behavior. The problem was a violent predator released back into the community despite clear evidence he was still dangerous. The Jill Meagher case remains one of the most transformative criminal cases in Australian history. It changed parole laws, it reformed the DNA database, and it sparked a national conversation about violence against women that continues to this day. It stands as a permanent reminder: when the justice system releases violent offenders without proper oversight, people die. Jill Meagher would be 41 years old today if Adrian Bayley had not killed her. She should have continued her career, maybe had children, grown old with Tom. Instead, her life ended at 29, raped and strangled in a laneway by a man the system decided was safe to release. Adrian Bayley stole Jill's future, and the failure to revoke his parole made that theft possible. This is the story of Jill Meagher, a brilliant, witty woman who made the people around her better, a wife who loved her husband, a daughter who traveled to be with her sick father. She deserved to walk home safely. She deserved to live. And the 30,000 people who marched down Sydney Road made sure Australia would never forget her name or the failures that led to her death.